Morning, everyone. So it's Thursday, January the 26th, significant day for us here in Hobart. It's Australia Day and celebrating a collective togetherness. We all came by boats here with a lot of huge immigration, and some were here when we got here, so they call it Invasion Day. But anyway, it's a big day and nothing's open, so couldn't get a few things done. Anyway, today's going to be, I'm going to go through a lot of interesting little things about weather forecasting and how we give entrance alerts, because Ian was asking for an alert. It looks as if Abolish might need an alert, and Simon was, we've given an alert, but I'll explain all those issues as well. But before I do, we got over to see Jessica's movie last night, and I got to bring it up because if you're a sailor, it might not end up being what you think. It's a great story, it's a good yarn, you can have lots of laughs and all that sort of stuff. It's going out to 1 billion people. And there's a simple scenario that the simpler the plot and simpler the theme, the more people you can spread it to. So don't worry, you're not going to learn anything about solo sailing, how to sail solo around the world, but you'll get the idea, and they do some amazing things. The CGI stuff, the computer work is incredible, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, but it might surprise a few people, and we enjoyed it. We had a great party, so that was cool. Okay, so coming on, I've never really given a detailed explanation on how we give the weather alerts and how we get the statistics and stuff. But generally, guys over here doing really well. I'll get into the tracker later. And Ian asked for an alert, but you can see we're not actually giving him one because it only got to, forecast was less than 30 knots and gusting 35. And he says, oh, it's blowing 35, any news? And he did what he usually does. He ran off before it rather than trying to hold the course, which is to the east, which is completely fine. He's sailing conservatively and safely, which is good. Jeremy held the line and he's gone out to the east. And then you can see here there's quite a little, it looks like a really intense little thing happening here with Abolish, and a bit of breeze coming, shouldn't give an alert and so on. So that's a consideration. And you would have seen on Lutz's tracker update last night, which I saw brought up the day before, there's something going on here with Simon. And in fact, if we just quickly scroll it through, and I'll get to the actual real tracker later on, you can see this one that's coming over Abolish, that's got blue in it, you think it's going to be really intense, is going to roll across the top and then slowly come down to envelop Simon, who currently can't do a lot, and he's going to be in the blue. So that means we need to keep him up on that as well. Now, first of all, as you probably know, if I look at Abolish right now, we go on the box and you've got a latitude and longitude position there. You can see he's 46.12, he's just rolled over 134 degrees west, and he's done 140 nautical miles, and he's doing 6.7 knots. So if I want to get a real-time weather forecast of what Abolish is doing now, I actually go to the windy main site. Okay, and this is the windy main site. You can see New Zealand over here. You've got Cape Horn down the bottom down here. There's no no-go zone because it has no tracking whatsoever for GGR. But I can pick up this one here, this flag, and drag it around. And where it is right now is basically where Abolish is. You can see I can read off the latitude and longitude there. I'm going to build this up a bit now so you can specifically see what's going on. So wherever I put this wand, you'll see I've got the latitude and longitude of a position on the chart, which corresponds in this case to the position that Abolish is at. And then I can get the actual real forecast. Now, first of all, down the bottom here, there's 3 models. You've got the ECMWF model, you've got the GIF model. So if I hit that, you'll see the weather forecast is slightly different. And then there's the icon model as well. If I hit that again, it's slightly different again. So these are the 3 main models that we look at. And preferably, I always start with the ECMWF. We had a lot of experience with that over the years, and it seems to be reasonably reliable. And then the next thing I want to point out is that if we go back to the tracker, none of the graphics on the tracker represent any one of those 3 models. Okay, you can't find it. It's just not there. Windy provide a service to YB3, and I believe what they're doing is they're providing a composite of maybe all 3. Sometimes I think the GFS forecast system is the one that they're choosing or favouring, but generally, without talking to them and without knowing what they actually do, I think it's a composite graphic of all of these 3 computer models. Okay, now all of the computer models are using exactly the same input data from all of those floating buoys floating around the Southern Ocean. It's the only data they've got. If a ship comes past, they report weather data and so on. All goes into the model, and based on past history and experience, the computer spits out a version of what they believe is the forecast, either 1, 2, 3 down here. So now, how do we get the information? So I stick with the ECMWF. It's looking like Abelish has got 28 knots forecast wind. And that's pretty simple because you just hit the wind icon. If I want to see what his wind gusts are in that position, I hit that and you can see straight away it's gusting up to 41. Now remember, generally speaking, if you've got a forecast wind of 30 knots, you're going to go up at least 33% again, which is exactly what the program does. And it comes up with graphics to show you where the gusts are. So Abelish is sort of probably getting, sort of 28, 30 knot forecast with gusts going up to 40, 41 knots, and so that's the way I pick that information. Then if I want to see what the sea state is, it's the same as on the graphic for the GGR tracker. You just hit waves, right, and bingo, he's got about 5.4 metre seas. So you can actually use that to get a real-time definition, and then build that into the situation with giving a weather alert to an entrant. And the guideline is we only give weather alerts when the forecast wind is scheduled to be above 35 knots or above. So that means that it's going to be 45, 50 knots. Okay, and we can temper that if we see something, because there's a big issue here with the weather. You get nasty ones and you get simple ones. And I'll explain it now with Simon's. This blow coming across Simon is a simple gale, okay? It's not a complicated one. As it comes across, it's not going to go through massive sudden wind changes, not as if it was blowing from the north at 50 knots and then it's going to start blowing from the south at 50 knots. He's actually in a pretty good position. He's on the sort of northeastern corner of this system when it comes past. So the seas generally should be organised, rolling swells, no sudden wind shift to make dangerous seas, and the wind is going to pick up. So what's it going to be? We can particularly forecast that, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now, because I've already sent him a weather update, and the statistics that we used, we had a position of west 103. So I come across here to drag this flag icon to 103 degrees west. Here we go. So I bring it across. Now you can see here I'm on 103 degrees west, and then 103 degrees west, and then in latitude it's going to be 50.1 south. So I've got to pull it down south a little bit. Keep coming down. So that's near enough to there. And where did I get that position from? Basically, when I look at Simon's current position now and look at the current weather that he's got, because remember he's not in a storm yet, it's going to be light, I'll project it forward based on his estimated course and speed, and I come up with an estimated position at the time that this storm is going to reach his position. So so it's simple mathematics. You just do the distance. I think he's going to go about 80 miles or something. And so by the time this storm is in that position, he's going to be down around about the end of his name here. And that's where we come up with a target position for the forecast at 103 degrees west, 50.1 degrees south. So then if I come back here, and the time of that is going to be, I can adjust the time here for the forecast. As you know, I can move it back and forwards. But it turns out that at that time, it'll be on the 27th of January at 0100 UTC. So now what we're looking at now is this flag at 0100 Zulu or UTC on the 27th. Simon will be around about there, and he'll be forecast wind of 25 knots, okay? And then if I want to see what the wind gusts are, I hit that, and wind gusts are going to be 32 knots. You can see what's coming though, right? So that's coming. And then I can look at sea state and just hit that, and sea state's going to be 2.9 metres, all right? So all I do then is I go, so that's that one, I log those details, then I come down and I progress it forward about another 5 or 6 hours, which is what I did, okay, and you can see the wind is now picking up. So I actually did it for 0700 hours, and so that's 600 there. So if I just move this icon along to 700 Zulu, there we go. So 700 Zulu, it's showing 34 knots from the northwest, okay, and wind gusts are going to be 43 knots, okay, from the northwest, and the sea state is going to be 4.4 metres. All right, so the sea's building. So I've got another set of statistics for 0700 UTC. Very simple, easy to do. So then I come back again and I do the same thing again. The next one we did was 1200 UTC. So I come across here. This may be getting boring for some, but there's 1200 UTC, rightio. You can see based on this target position, he's going to get a forecast 32 knots. He's got wind gusts of 51 knots, and he's got a sea state of what do we got here? Waves, come on. It's not rolling over. 5.4 metres, so to see the sea's building. Now, I've got a little bit of paper here. I don't know whether you can see that. Got all the stats there. Boom, boom, boom. I write it all down every few hours. Boom, boom. And I give him a forecast. I gave him plots like that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions going right through to the 28th when it'll die out and it'll all be over. And the biggest they've got there, the biggest winds are basically about what you got there. And forecast gusts are all 46, 40, 38, 33. So it's all over by the 23rd, so it's not too bad. Now, having said that, if we look at the wind gusts, you can see he's right on the cusp. He's on the northeastern corner of this system. And if I now forget about his target position and come down here and say, oh, okay, look at that. It goes from 30 feet going up to 50s, 60s. There's probably some bigger ones in there. You've got to be aware that even this graphic isn't, whilst it's great for collecting data, it may not be completely accurate. Okay, so you warn them and you say, well, look, this is the data we're getting, but be ready. You could get another 20% on top of that, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that we give them an indication that you can see all the wind direction and wind strengths, or all the wind directions are pretty much holding consistent. And that allows for an organised sea. I'm not saying it's going to be good or pretty or whatever. It might be really ugly. But the real challenge is when you have these cross seas and seas start breaking and so on, and you get a system that's got this big hook in the middle of it, and you get sudden dramas. So this is a very traditional, typical late summer, autumn storm in the Southern Ocean. So nothing to be too concerned about, other than the fact that whenever you're in the Southern Ocean, you should be concerned. So I hope that makes sense. So that's what's happened with Simon. Lutz mentioned it yesterday. We're keeping him updated. Simon also rang on the satellite phone just to confirm a chat after we sent that. Abelish hasn't asked for anything. I think he understands it's within the realms of things. The forecast there wasn't a weather alert at all. It's just a little tight one. And we're not giving in one because it only got up to, gusts were only 35 knots, and he said, oh, it's about 35, any news? So, but that's part of the course. So I think that might explain how we do it. And we send the messages by YB3, okay, which is the secure satellite tracking system, and we can also send it as an SMS to his satellite phone. As we go through here now, even with Ian and even with Guy back there, I mean, summer's winding down. We're at the end of January. We're moving into February. We're going to get more and more of this as we go across. So there's a sense of not urgency, but keep the ball moving, get across, get around Cape Horn, and get out of there. But it's still been very good. We no complaints about the weather, touch wood. Okay, cheapers, I've used 13 minutes and I haven't even talked about anything to do with the GGR. So Guy's doing 6.3, really good. He'll be happy there. 119 nautical miles in the day, and we can just I'll pick it up one and just see how the weather looks for him going forward. This is nearly a day. It's all very constant. There's no big storms coming, but again, typical Southern Ocean. And I know he's loving it. That's what the boat's built for. That's why he's making such good speeds. He's just going to miss this one. This is on the 28th, and again, that's sort of 35s there. 30, 35 gusting, maybe a bit higher, but I fully expect Guy to be loving that. So he's got a few days of good sailing. And the gate will come up when he gets to the level of Hobart. So nothing really substantial to report there. Oh, on Arnaud might be just about in port. We're monitoring that, so stand by when we get him there. And when he gives a contact, we'll be able to give him an interview, similar to what I did with Elliot. We'll do a split screen interview on it when he gets to a computer. Okay, so Ian Herbert Jones, 6.7 knots. Quite happy, not distressed, not concerned, just trying us out to get a free forecast. And he should be getting Pete there over in New Zealand at the moment, the forecast. I know his radio is pretty good. 91 nautical miles in the day, making reasonable progress. Jeremy just held his line when it came from the north. He held his line and shot out to the east, 6.1 knots. So he's actually pulled away a little bit from Ian at the moment. If we go here and here, 170 nautical miles in front of Ian, and Ian's probably dragging a few of those barnacles yet. I don't think he's had a chance to get it down. So let's just slide this forward and see how they're looking. There's a day ahead, and they've got the influence of the big high, so they're going to calm down a bit, regroup. Ian might run out of breeze there. He's a bit higher, but Jeremy will keep sailing. And then they've got a northerly, so that's fine. This is what we want to see. We want to see them with breeze so they don't lag behind at all too much. And we'll go through to the 29th. There we go. Yeah, pretty reasonable. I think Jeremy's going to get a better breeze than Ian for sure. So, but anyway, 3 days of fun there. And Captain Goog, he's back to today's weather, enjoying the ride again, having a happy time. 6.3, he's in a good place. And then Kirsten over here as well. Kirsten's doing 7.2. She'll be happy with that. This is real Southern Ocean stuff. It's coming up behind Avalish, but all okay. 6.7. Now, when you'll see this is only a small system. It's still strong, but it's a small system. But this is the areas where I say you can get into real challenging moments when you get these sudden wind direction changes, northerly and then it's southerly, if you're down here and it shapes. So they're on the top edge and it's all basically coming from the west. So they'll ride that. It's swinging to the southwest. Cloud-wise, they'll be in the thick of it. I'll just pick this up a bit. It's maybe a bit small to see. This is all. Oh no, it's they've got a little system, lots of rain there, so maybe they'll pick up some rain. Anyway, they'll be they're all happy. We're not seeing any stress there. They get a move on and they're making real ground towards Cape Horn, which is good to see. So let's just now. I think I might be able to show you all three of them together on what's happening for the next couple of days. So here's 24 hours out. Goog's still got a breeze there. That's roaring 40 stuff, but not too intense. Kirsten and Avalish, plenty of breeze. They'll make good time there. Simon, interestingly, will slow down tomorrow. That he's going to slow down shortly. They've still got good breeze, but it's backing off on the 28th. So that's 2 days out and 3 days out. Same again. Goog's not going to go super fast. He's still making good, okay time, but Kirsten and Avalish, they're doing okay. So, and just to review one more time with Simon. First of all, let's see what the distance break is, just to see. But you can see he's going to slow down. In fact, right now we discussed this. He's only doing 2.9 knots. There was no way, when we were talking about the weather for Simon, that he had a chance to get out to the northeast to meet this system. He's on the northeast edge of it, coming through in the next day or so. But with this weather pattern, there's no way he can make northeast. He's just going to hold his line and live with it. So that's pretty reasonable. So we'll just do a measure here and see what that looks like. And it's still holding, 1,188 miles. So he hasn't got too far ahead. And in the next day or two, in the next couple of days, I think you'll see Kirsten and Avalish pick up maybe 80 miles. So they'll squeak a little bit closer. And I've got to say, it's interesting when you read. So many people think it's all over and that that's it. Believe me, it's a long way to the finish. And it's never over till the fat lady sings. So Simon, Avalish, Kirsten, and in fact all of them, Captain Goog and Ian, they're all in the hunt. So don't write anyone off at the moment. I got to say, absolutely anything can happen. We're only just halfway through. So distance to Cape Horn now. We'll try that. This one's going forever. You're probably asleep by now. Okay, distance for Simon, 1,370 nautical miles, and that's going to come up quicker than we think. So, and he'll be happy to get around. So now I'm just going to get rid of that and look at Simon's toggling weather just so you can see one more time what's going to happen. Abolish gets through this lot. It's building. You can see Simon's going to park now. Right, this is the calm before the storm, and going nowhere. And then it's slowly going to build in from the north, but it's light. And then it'll get itself organised very quickly. You can see straight away there's just a little bit of a northerly, and then it goes straight to northwest, a cloud front, and then it gets organised, and it'll build, but it's all over within 24 hours. It's coming through really fast. So we're fully expecting to hear some stories from Simon, but it'll be cool. And then you can see what's happening, compressing down here around Cape Horn, and this is, this is why everyone's keen to keep a move on and get around. There will be more and more of this stuff happening. And one quick look at the big picture, just to show you how everything is still very benign across the Southern Ocean. All very good. Okay, that's it.